Hey people, it's me again. So, anyways, it's just about 5:45 p.m. Today is April 4th, 2024. So, I keep making multiple recordings on my audio vlogs of that sort because I have a whole lot to think about, but I just don't want to prattle on the whole minutiae and that sort. I just wanted to, have this sort of stream of consciousness. So, anyways, I'm just out here in the backyard at this point. So I was thinking more about my manifestation journey of that sort, and when it came to J2, I mean, I'm still kind of putting this guy on the back burner for quite a while at this point because, I felt like I needed to put him on the back burner, since last September of that sort. In that, I don't really mean to kind of cause any of these problems of that sort, but it just simply means that I need to have my space and time away from him because, his husband had died, almost a year at that point there, and it's going to be like 2 years this September at that point, and it's been just about 6 months since the roommate had passed away of that sort. You know what I mean? So, considering all of that, I'm just focusing more on myself of that sort. And in a way, when it comes to, manifesting in general, it always works. Because the more positive energy you put in, the more positive things that you come back to. The more negative energy, the more negative things come back to. And it's like the more positive energy that you put into a relationship, the more it comes to you at that point. You know what I mean? So, that's just one of the things I have to kind of mention here. So, considering all of that, I have options here. And I kind of realize it's like, I'll still have like infinite chances with anybody as far as that goes. You know what I mean? So, considering all that, I think it's just time for me to focus more on myself than putting all this energy out as far as that goes. And I feel confident enough that and I can trust the universe to do its work. You know what I mean? And then realizing that the opposite can go as far as that goes. And it was one of the things that happened here, that the opposite of what I was manifesting occurred, you know, when it came to J2 and J1, as far as that goes. And when it came to J2, is now that I realize it's like there was a reason why Brad had popped up, because he was like the first bird, as far as the first bird before land, and mainly he does have similarities when it comes to J2, and that is that they both have bipolar. You know, because at one point, you know, J2 had mentions on his vlogs a lot, even before his late husband had passed away, you know, where he suffers from depression, but also has like some, you know, instance of mania and all, and so it's basically classic bipolar 1, bipolar 2, of that sort. And so that was just the thing there. So considering all of that, I just feel a little bit better, because, you know, knowing when it comes to law of attraction, law of assumption, you know, quantum physics, whatever you would call it in that sense, is still the same thing. That I can still, like, talk to anybody, you know, whether if it's in the 3D or beyond the 3D, it's still the same thing. You know, and so it's just one of the things I have to kind of point out here. So, anyways, I guess that's probably it. So, talk to you guys later. Hey people, it's me again. So, anyways, it's about 6:56 p.m. Today is Sunday, April 7th, 2024. So, I'm just out here in the backyard, you know, as far as that goes. And it was one of the things that I talk about periodically, you know, is how I divide my life into different chapters, you know. And so, basically, like, chapter 1 was like 81 to 85, living at the old house, you know, because I don't really remember all that as far as that goes. And so then there's chapter 2, which was like 85 to 89. And so that was me kind of going to my first school, which was kind of like a specialized school, you know, because at that time I wasn't really diagnosed until after high school at that point. So that's one of the things there. So, chapter 3 was like, you know, 89 to 93, which was me going to regular elementary school, but in another city within the district. And so that kind of caused a lot of problems. So I'm not going to really go into too much detail at that point, you know, not yet. Then chapter 4 was like, you know, middle school. And I think that was where I start to kind of really grow a bit, socially of that sort. When it came to that middle school, so it was like chapter 4. Chapter 5 was like high school, 95 to 91, 99, high school. And so then there was chapter 6, which was like the whole thing with adult transition, all that I harangued about for quite a bit, and kind of doesn't really matter that much anymore, Then there's like chapter 7, which was like 01 to 03, and that was me kind of taking a breather. And then the next chapter, chapter 7, or was supposed to be, or chapter 6, chapter 7, or whatever the next chapter that one was. And so that's like, 03 to 05, my adventures of living in Irving, Texas. That's one thing. Then there's chapter, the following chapter was like 05 to maybe like 2011, maybe 2012, of that sort. Because I figured that chapter was basically the rest of my 20s. And then the next chapter was kind of like, 2011, maybe 2012, but up until like 2020. So that's like all my 30s, and primarily in that part of that chapter, I wasn't sleeping in my room. I was sleeping in the bonus room the entire time, and sleeping on that couch, and having the TV set on, as far as that goes. And when it came to 2020, I was like transitioning out of living in the bonus room and living in my bedroom at that point. So that's just like one of the things when you notice, like in some of my videos during 2020, like early on when I was still in the bonus room, and then later on I started, being in the main bedroom, and then in my bedroom, as far as that goes. And so basically, this current chapter is more like 2020 to quite possibly like 2025, 2026, whenever we're gonna like move out of the house and go into that retirement place of that sort, because mom's is now like has itchy fingers to retire of that sort, but wants to like wait until the timing is right to pull the damn trigger as far as to retire. You know what I mean? So, and then depending on how I would put the next couple of chapters of my life, it depends on really me at that sort, as far as, the rest of my 40s, maybe like my 50s and 60s of that sort. You know what I mean? So, considering all of that, as far as like my manifestation journey goes, I had talked about this sort of thing on my main channel, that I feel like I am now complete. I, just let the chips fall where they may when it comes to J2 of that sort, and I was
kind of already at that state of the wish fulfilled somewhat. I just didn't know how to like define it in that way or in enough where it feels like, yeah, it kind of doesn't really matter whether or not I have J2. You know, it's just the point is that I I can have him back at any time. You know, as far as that goes, and just let you know time do its work. You know, in all of this because I need to have enough time and space from J2 for that matter. Because, you know, because I do want to be with him, but it's just not while he's still like grieving the loss of his late husband and then the roommate to that sort. I want to wait until like everything gets a little bit more, you know, settled and that sort, and you know, and the fact that I kind of don't really mean to have bad blood come between me and him and all. I just need space from him because the way how Brad was when the last time I saw him made me take pause of that sort, and you know, I'd rather just you know have fun, and I can still have fun regardless of all that, and I don't really necessarily have to kind of you know commit to anyone, you know, unless I really want that. Down the road, you know, I just feel like there's just I have enough time to figure out what it is I really want to do, and that it's just no biggie. You know what I mean? So, considering all that, I guess that's probably it. So, talk to you guys later. Hey people, it's me again. So, it's about a quarter after 12 ish. Today is April 8th, 2024. So, I'm just here lying on my bed at this point. So, I feel like I accomplished something at this point. Yeah. As far as getting the state of the wish fulfilled, for that matter, you know, in regards of like, you know, J1 or J2 or whoever wanted to manifest, it's like, it's really all up to me of that sort, and, you know, and it was just hard for me to put J2 in the back burner because I had too much of an attachment to him there, and that's just wasn't really me. And I was trying to figure out, you know, at this point whether or not if I generally like J2 enough to actually want a relationship with him in the future. You know, as far as to kind of put all the circumstances aside at that point. And in a way, I feel like I have to kind of put him on the back burner because it's like he's still dealing with a lot of grief as far as losing his late husband as far as that goes, and then the roommate, you know,
like that this is where a point where I can let go, at least for now, you know, and I was like doing a lot of, the inner conversation with him and all, and of that sort. I look into affirmations and a lot of other things, and I think one of the biggest takeaways was that I am the operant power of what it is with my reality of that sort, and I don't really have to put up with this version of J2 that does not want anything to do with me. I can reject that version of him and bring in a version of him that does want me, and that version of him is going to take a while to manifest into the 3D of that sort. And so I think of it in a way that it's like how it was with like the modern games where there's like DLCs galore and all that, and so here it is like, I unlocked the most that I can get with J2 if I choose on pursuing that sort of thing in the future, because I don't really have to have them right now. I mean, I can have them whenever it's possible for me, of that sort. And right now it's just I wanted to focus on myself and put them on the back burner, but then also see who else is here besides that. And that's kind of like what my options are laid out in front of me. So, anyways, I guess that's part of it, because here I was like ranting and railing for quite a bit, making multiple recordings about just what is on my mind, and then because I get lost in the minutiae instead of just focusing on the big picture at whole, and I don't really want to get into all the details just yet, but for now it's just, I think this is just where I, stop with J2, but this doesn't necessarily mean I'm like, done actively manifesting, once it's like, you're become part of the active or manifester or conscious manifester of that sort, you want to do a whole lot of things and put everything, into perspective, because now you're in the driver's seat, and now you get to do all of these sort of things, and blah blah blah. And it all has to do with yourself instead of, letting others define who you are and all of this. That's what the whole point of, law of attraction, law of assumption is really about. What is you want to bring out from your inner world to the outer world. So, anyways, I guess that's probably it. So, talk to you guys later.